For over 50 years, a husband and wife team located in the English countryside have changed the world of wine. Beyond continuing a long tradition of the UK bringing French wines to the world, the Laithwaites are part of the biggest stories to fill wine glasses in the last century. Chilean wine, New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, English sparkling, and so much more. Today we speak about all of this, but we also talk about what is really at the center of wine: family. And we also talk about how difficult and rewarding that can be. Well, it is an honor to be sitting with the two of you. We have been spending, we've been together, I know you laugh, but it really is. We have been together nonstop for a week. I'm directing a film on these two lovely human beings sitting next to me, Tony and Barbara Laithwaite. 50 years the two of you have been working together in wine, somewhere around that?
Mm-hmm. Bit longer.
Maybe more for you?
No, a bit longer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We only got married in 50 years ago, but before that we worked together.
Okay.
Yeah.
A few years.
5 years or so, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been dragging each other around Bordeaux and the English countryside for the past week. And I'm glad for you to see what it takes to make a film from the inside, because it's, I'm hoping, more tiring than making wine. Yeah? No?
Yes.
Well, not harvest time.
Not harvest time.
No,
Yeah, that's fair.
harvest
Okay.
time is non-stop, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've just been told it's going to be a week early.
Oh.
A week earlier than early. 15th, not the 20th.
Exciting. Well, harvest would be a very different thing for people like you, because you make wine all over the world. So I assume harvest is a relentless process for the two of you, meaning, you know, if it's not happening right now in England, it's happening in France. If it's not happening in France, it's happening in New Zealand. If it's not happening in New Zealand, it's happening in Chile. And it's important for me to mention all of this stuff. I have to say, I read something that the two of you are responsible for probably 1 billion bottles passing through your hands, your company. It's a staggering thought that you have been in the wine industry and in the wine trade with that much impact. And so that's where I want to start this conversation, is that the legacy of the two of you is wide and deep. And I want to ask Tony first, what is it you do? What is your job in wine?
My job, and a lot of customers have told me they don't think it's a proper job, is to wander around the vineyards and meet producers, and go down their cellars, try the wine, and buy it, maybe. And then write to my customers and persuade them to also buy it.
So is that a wine merchant? What is that title?
Yeah, that's classified as a wine merchant. But I've always travelled, I think, more than most, because I love the travelling. One of the reasons I sort of wanted to do this was the opportunity to go around all these exciting places. From Bordeaux, just Bordeaux I went to at the beginning, and that's pretty exciting. There's lots of bits of Bordeaux. But then to go around the rest of France and find all these, the well-known places, but also lots of little weird and wonderful places. I loved all that.
Hidden gems.
I love it. I still love it. And then, of course, got a bit more ambitious, sort of started going around Europe, and then eventually going everywhere.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to some of these discoveries. Barbara, what is it that, if someone was to ask you, what is your job title, or what was it that you do and did in the wine trade? The two of you have achieved the highest honors you can. The two of you also have a reputation that goes through the rungs of every country and every place and every way you can do wine. I know you shrug at this, but it's true. But Barbara, what is it that you?
She was the boss.
Well, naturally. But I suppose my job really was to make sure it worked. I always did the numbers on a project. I do the spreadsheets, do the logistics, obviously with teams, but just to make sure that these ideas could be translated into practicality, then they would actually work.
And by ideas, I assume you mean your husband's
Well, he would come up with an idea like wine plans, subscriptions, and I would see the point of them, which was to help the customer explore more. But, there's quite a lot of logistics behind it and financial things, and you have to get all that right, otherwise it's not going to work. And I would go along. I think he found it slightly easier when I was his boss than with other people because I kind of understood most of his ideas, though we didn't do them all because some of them were just a bit too outrageous or too risky,
Well, they were because, it was only when I kind of, on account of a little heart attack, I had to pull back.
That we started making money.
That we started making money.
And there's never been you've got to make some profit in order to survive, to reinvest into the company.
We always did. We always made enough to live. And I said, do you remember when we had to say, we're not having any meat this year? This year. We won't buy meat.
Well, that's why we had chickens,
it's
because we lived on eggs for a long time.
Yeah, well, you can do that. I mean, I think I've had the entertaining luxury to interview a lot of husbands and wives who have worked together, especially in the wine trade. And as we know, wine is a long business. You can't...
Very long.
Yeah, you plant a vine, it's 4 years before you can even talk about getting what you really wanted, maybe even longer. And in sparkling wine, which I think is why I wanted to mention this, I'm going to open your wine, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you watching this episode, you can see we are sitting in an English garden, essentially.
Yeah.
Basically, this was the set for Peter Rabbit. If you've ever seen any of those episodes, this was filmed here. Yeah. And we're going to open an English sparkling wine, which I guess now is something that people might take for granted that is a thing on the world stage. That English sparkling wine exists and is lovely and is a top wine of the world. But two of you were there. Barbara, this happens to be your particular wine, Wyfold. The rosé, which I have not tried yet. I'm very excited. Can the two of you talk about the first time you ever had or remember having a sparkling wine from England?
Oh, a long time ago.
When would it have been?
It was about 1993 or 4, something like about there.
Not that long ago.
Oh, no.
Ooh, sorry.
That's all right.
I was going to try to
She
do
jumped.
that quietly, and it really came fast.
In England, we made wine for, a long time, as you know. But the idea that perhaps our forte was sparkling wine only arrived relatively recently. And we bought some of the first that came onto the market. Kit Lindlar, he was a very good winemaker, but he left the winemaking business to become a priest. But he had made some super wine, and it was good from the start. And then we moved on to the Roberts family.
How was the
wine?
wine? Was it good? The early stuff?
Yes, it was
serviceable.
It was good from the word go. Mike Roberts was very good.
I mean, that had to amaze people. Honestly, I mean,
well, it amazed us.
But most people in the early days didn't get to taste the older sparkling because, with the financial pressures, you had to get it onto the market as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. So they weren't tasting.
And there were so few people making it. There was hardly any
right.
around. So, but I mean,
you've got to take the big decision to hold your stock for. I mean, this is relatively young. It's 2020, so that's 5 years, and the brut we're selling at the moment is the 18, 7 years. But we had to make a conscious decision to hold it back so it gets extra maturity in bottle.
Sure.
Yeah, it makes a hell of a difference.
Well, I've probably filmed and interviewed in Champagne itself dozens of times. Oregon, that makes traditional method, with Stephen Spurrier and his wife Bella on the Dorset on the other coast.
Yeah.
And every single person tells me it's one of the hardest wines to make. It's one of the hardest wines to make a profit from. It's one of the most rewarding processes to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And man, is that a tricky 3 sentences to put together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the profitability, I think we know all about that.
Well, actually, I mean, if you just think about storage
But you have
costs.
grandkids, right?
Yeah.
This is, by the way, I do want to really quickly just say this is phenomenal. This wine is really, really good.
It's good.
I would be so curious.
This is recent. recently released, isn't it?
2022, you said?
No, it's 2020,
2020.
but it's our current release for rosé. So
I wonder if a lot of Americans have had English sparkling. I think that it's probably not.
a lot of wine drinkers in America will know about it. But
Sure.
there's not a massive distribution in the States. People, it can't be that easy to get hold of, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, to me, it's fascinating. And obviously, people who watch the documentary we're making will see you and your team, the two of you, you're making sparkling wine not just in Champagne, but you're also doing it in multiple spots here in England, in the UK. Why did you decide to make it in multiple different places? I mean, as if you didn't have enough challenge making it in one place here in England.
Well, I think it's because it needs a massive personal dedication and input. And each of those 3 places have different people driving it.
Your son is one of them.
Yeah, Henry and Kay are driving Harrow and Hope. You and Anne are driving Windsor. And I'm driving Wyfold. And we all do it very slightly differently.
And we compete. don't we?
I was going to
We
say,
compete.
is there a competition within
Yeah.
the family?
Oh, yes.
Interesting.
Oh, yes.
I follow the wine because Henry makes my wine. I follow the winemaking process quite carefully. Keep an eye on him.
Yes. Do you have any styles where you're like, I don't want it to be done in the way my husband is doing? Do you ever reference it and be like, I would like it to be more?
We have extensive tastings. We have one particular big one every year, and we will taste all the wines maturing in bottle, all the vintages that we have. Because we monitor the changes, so you don't get too much of a surprise when you're ready to disgorge them. And, sometimes we'll hold one for a little bit longer, or another one we'll bring forward because it's coming through very quickly. And so you treat them all as individuals, which they are.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. And I learned so much from my son about this. He's got a great depth of knowledge.
It's important for people listening who might not be familiar with the actual family, the Laithwaites name or something like that, but this is really a family business.
Oh, yeah.
You walk the walk. It's not just like, there are so many big wine companies where you see the family name on the label or you see the family name on the building, but it's it might have the family involved, or in some cases, they're not involved at all. I won't name names,
Yeah.
It's
but I definitely could. But this is special, especially torturing you guys for the last week with the filming. I have really realized how close all of you truly are to each other and how.
Well, we still fight.
Yeah, well, you bet. I mean, how could you not if you're not close to each other?
But you should see it. I mean, harvest time is particularly good because I think that's when it shows the most at harvest, because you all kind of face the problems together and you work around them.
Let me ask you, because I could use this advice myself. How do you turn off the work part with family?
It's very easy to let it take over all the time, and you've got to try very hard to have the space to not talk about it. Tom in particular is very...
I was going to say, Tom's very firm on that.
He will...
And he's right.
And he will say,
I
this
will
is
tend
family,
to talk
this
about
is
it
not
all the
work.
time
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
I am told
He
to
can
shut
be
up.
painfully boring about it. So
Shut up, Dad. We're on holiday or something like that. Shut up.
It's hard to turn off, though. I mean, it really, really, really is, because there's always something else to do. It's never done.
It's also something that I particularly went into because I wanted to enjoy it. I was told at the beginning, you'll never make money out of wine. And everybody said, you can't make money out of wine. And I said, but I can enjoy myself. And I've always thought, aim at happiness, don't aim at money. Aim at being happy. And that's been my thing. And I don't know if the boys, I think they do. Henry, you'd never get Henry away from his vineyard, off his tractor. That's what he loves doing. Will's the same.
Yeah.
And Tom.
Filming with you guys, I've thought long and hard, because I know you have this is something I truly, truly love. No exit plan. And this sentence is so great, because when you start a business, especially worldwide, but in America, they go, You have this dream to create this thing, and you've wanted to your whole life. How are you going to get out of it then? And it's like, that's the first question you're asking me is how I'm going to sell the thing I've wanted my whole life to make?
If you go in with an exit plan, then you're going to make totally different decisions to if you go in because you love something and you just want to do it.
Yes.
There's a lot of people in the UK wine trade. They're owned by hedge funds and banks and stuff like that.
Everywhere. It's not just here.
They're not there like we are to because it makes them happy. No, they've got an exit strategy, and we don't.
Yeah.
We don't. Definitely don't.
Yeah. It's an incredible thing to have everyone be able to do the business, but yet have their own thing at the same time.
Yeah. That was what we thought. I've seen businesses. I mean, obviously working with lots of wine producers all over the world.
And they're all family businesses.
Family businesses. Yeah. And I've seen it can work, how it can work, and I've seen how it can't work. I've seen families fall apart. And the one thing I was determined we weren't going to do was sort of force them to come into the business and start at the bottom and work their way up. This is what, it's a normal thing that people talk about. Mm-hmm. No. They did come in when they were young. They packed wine for us at Christmas and all that. We did all that sort of stuff. But
they've done the jobs at the bottom.
Yeah. They've done the job. But let them go. Do their own thing. And Henry's always wanted to make wine. He's kind of a natural farmer, isn't he? Will wanted to do beer, and he did it really well. Tom wanted to run bars. That was his ambition.
So everybody's had the ability to take a path and come back, kind of come away, come back.
It's their choice. It's their choice. It's got to be their choice.
But various people in the company, I think, rather than us, I don't think we ever convinced them that ours is a good business, but other people working in the business have sort of talked to them, and they convinced them that, hey, you're on a good thing here, you guys. So,
One of the most successful things you two have done, and I really think the two of you, and I'm sure there's many more members that can claim some success in this in your business, but is the wine program, you call it, the wine club. And in the United States, wine clubs are, they're pretty prevalent now, but they weren't always. The winemakers who were doing direct to consumer and mailing, a winery called William Sellium comes to mind in Sonoma, but there were not many who were doing this in the 80s, maybe the late 70s. The two of you really pioneered this in a way, and I know that you're very modest, you're not gonna say we did this, but you really did. I mean, without your work in the curation of wine, I don't think any of these other people could have pulled it off. You put your feet in the vineyards literally all over the world. There was a story I heard that you were in Chile during the changeover from Pinochet, the dictator, finding the wine while this very volatile country, a beautiful country I've filmed in many times, I love Chile, but it was a very, dare I say, a dangerous place, and there you were trying to find the next great wine to bring back to England and beyond. Can you just talk to me a little bit about what's going through your mind and why you chose to go to Chile? Why you choose these places? What was the reason? I mean, I think it's such a fascinating curiosity you have.
I owe a lot to Hugh. Hugh Johnson fell for Chile first, and he actually went as far as importing a barrel of Cabernet Sauvignon from Chile, which he hand-bottled and used to serve to people, and it was bloody good. And so he said, you really ought to go there. So I did. And I looked up for interesting names, went to a few producers. I don't remember it being particularly dangerous, actually. It was just very volatile, the situation.
Well, when you're working and you have a mission, you're doing stuff, of course.
Well, I remember being shown out my hotel room. See, over there, that's Government House. See that window there? That's where the jet came in and shot poor old Allende.
Yeah.
But we were very big in Chile. Again, I suppose other people weren't quite there yet, but...
To understand how we got to where we are is the most important thing you can do to be successful now, in my opinion. I think I'm always an advocate for studying how we got to where we are. And now, You walk into a bar and there's a New Zealand Chardonnay, there's a New Zealand Pinot, there's a Bordeaux from a place like Lalande de Palmeral, or places that now you're aware of. But you were the two of you were a part of these things becoming the vernacular. And especially with things like New Zealand. I mean, it can't be overstated. I'm not saying that New Zealand doesn't get the credit for their making the great wine, but what I'm saying is for spreading the gospel. You're sort of like the St. Paul, of wine coming from these places. And Barbara, I'm curious, did he ever come back with something? Because I'm sure in your mind, you're going, how can this be profitable? How is it worth shipping barrels across the world? Is there a way to make this sustainable and repeatable? But was there ever a wine that he brought back that you went, this is worth it purely on the quality? We have to find a way to make this work from some countries, from some place.
No, I didn't really make those kind of judgments because not being so much a wine person, I'm still not so much a wine person. I'm a wine grower.
Oh, yes, you are now. Since she's become a wine grower, since she started
I'm very nervous to tell you, but I think this might be my favorite sparkling I've had on the trip. So
Ah.
I'm very nervous to say that because
Once upon a time, I was the wine expert in the family, and Barbara was just doing numbers. Now she makes this.
Yeah.
She's a wine expert too. I have to be.
And now no one's doing the numbers.
Yeah, that might be the problem.
Well, so
Well, no, he would come back with his stories, and you would know that there was something special going on. So it wasn't so much, this is the best Sauvignon I've ever tasted. It would be, gosh, these guys are pioneers,
You could make it sound like I knew what I was going to do next. I've never known really what I'm going to do next. It's just you wait for something to happen, and it happens. I went to New Zealand courtesy the New Zealand government in early 80s and was taken around the place. They did this to wine merchants. It was very inspired thinking on their part, but found good wines, but nothing actually very wow. And then an Australian friend of mine, David Thomas, who was running a similar business to ours in Australia, gave me a call and said, "You've really got to try this New Zealand Sauvignon from Marlborough," and I did, and yeah, wow, that was outstanding. And it was Ernie Hunter set up Hunter's Wines, but Hunter's Wines was what put New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc on the map. It was the first. It won so many awards in London, and the New Zealand government, they realised, apart from butter and lamb, they now had another
New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
I think New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc is on the list of wines. And I think Argentinian Malbec maybe sits on this list. I think that Prosecco might sit on this list as a group of wine that has taken the world by storm. But New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc sits on a very rarefied place where it kind of, I hate to use the modern term, but went viral. It kind of became a thing that was good. You knew what it was. It had this grapefruit type smell that everybody could recognize what it was, and it was affordable. And I can only speak in America. My father-in-law introduced me to New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. It was already big at this point, but it became a thing where everywhere I looked, it just seemed to be there. I don't know how they pulled off this marketing, but it was everywhere in the States. So I assume it kind of had the same path.
I don't think it was so much marketing. There were some clever marketeers came along after Ernie, but it is just a wine that is outstanding. You say it's Sauvignon Blanc with the volume turned right up to 11 or 12. It's wow. You can't miss it. There are not many grape varieties which almost anybody can tell, you can't, not many people can, that's a Malbec, that's a Merlot, that's a...
Sure.
Yeah.
Bit harder.
You've got to, it gets a bit harder. Sauvignon Blanc, it's obvious what it is.
There was something else happening, though, because it's used as a business case study for, an unknown region all of a sudden being worldwide appreciated.
Sure.
And in fact, the UK sparkling wine industry talked about finding out what the magic was and using similar techniques, but the real difference is the price point.
Well, I just think it's interesting for people that now it's sort of just a given that if you go into a restaurant, they'll have a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc by the glass.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even
Yeah.
by the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
The two of you made that happen. Whether you didn't grow the wine, but you helped cast it out
We
into
helped,
the world.
we helped,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Is there a region you wish you had gotten into at that time that you didn't? And is there something now that you would like to do?
Georgia.
Yeah.
I went to Georgia with our buyer there, and she and I went round, saw some marvellous stuff, but we didn't seem to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a mistake. We should have piled in there a bit.
Yeah.
It's great. There's some fantastic wines there.
Especially the reds for me. I really
Yeah.
like the reds quite a bit.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
So you could say Armenia, well, that's nearby. And
course.
you've got Turkey and stuff. All that area we're pretty light on. But I wish we could have done more, but
again,
we only have so much time.
Yeah, it's not necessarily an easy area to do business in.
No. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
we
it's true.
did what was Yugoslavia and is now several different countries, you know.
Yeah, it is a funny thing that a lot of these wine regions, especially that are very old, are in strife. There's a lot of conflict in these places. Is there anything today, now, that you look at a map and you're thinking, this is the place? Now, let's say, look, you have to be profitable, but let's say you didn't have to be. Where are we not thinking about in the world? Because I don't think there's anybody better to ask this question to. Where should people be looking for in 10 years? Where's the next prospect?
Well, I'd say Ukraine, but I mean, there is a bit of a problem there.
Yeah. I have read I've heard. Why would you say the Ukraine would be a country to take a look at for wine?
Well, we've been in Moldova for quite a while. A lot of people don't know where Moldova is. I didn't at first, but
By Romania, yeah.
it's right on the border of Ukraine and Romania, and makes fantastic wines, and always has done, going back a long time. And Ukraine is right next door. Ukraine was famous for wine, but you don't hear about it now.
Well,
for obvious reasons.
Stalin had a very big wine cellar, very famous, and a
yes.
lot of the wines were from Crimea that were in that cellar.
Yeah,
I do know that, and that whole area, what was called Dacia for a long time, is Romania, Moldova, all that stuff going back to the Roman times. There's writings of some of the great wines of the Roman Empire in that area, which is
that area could,
I would say we shouldn't talk about geopolitics, but here's the truth. Wine is geopolitics. I mean, it really is. It's a constant ebb and flow. But the difference with wine, and when we said it's a long business, if you plant wine, it's harder to leave. You have to stay and defend where you planted that wine because it was probably your grandparents who did it. And, it's been a long process. And so...
It works here as well. I always reckon that's why Henry planted in Marlow, which meant he couldn't go back to Sheffield.
Oh, so now he's got to stay in Marlow because he planted the vines. He put up roots, as they say.
We can't move to Sheffield, dear, because we got the vineyard.
Ooh, if that goes out, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're in trouble with the daughter-in-law.
See, family business.
Yes,
There you
family
go.
business.
I do want to take one more second on the English Sparkling, thinking about legacy in the future. Right now, this wine is tremendous. What is the future? Is England going to go from less of a beer culture to more of a wine country? Or, what is going to happen
Oh, it
here?
has. It
Yeah.
already has. It's
Okay.
happening. If we can afford it, yes. Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure it will. But both, I don't see beer disappearing at all. But
No, I'm going to have one after
just
this.
having the options opened is no bad thing.
Yeah. Do you think you'll see people coming to the UK for wine tourism? I mean,
They are.
Oh, they are?
Already,
Yeah.
already there are people around
I
here.
don't mean that as an insult. I'm sure they are. I more mean-
I mean, a lot of the big and small estates have a lot of tourism, and it's part of what they offer. And the wine area is spreading. There are a lot of still wine vineyards in the east of the country.
Yeah. The most interesting part of the UK for wine at the moment is Essex.
Yeah.
And there are people making still wine that is, you'd love it. It's quality stuff.
The thing I'm wondering I'm going to say something. I think, and this is, I do not mean this as an insult, but people have a predisposed idea of what English food is, and they're wrong. People think it's, a certain thing, and often some of the best food, best meals I've ever had in England. I mean, truly. I'm wondering if maybe you can't get away from the wine being compared to champagne, but is there quintessential English food that goes with your bubbles and your wine that is not the traditional oysters or the traditional, French dishes, things? Is there an English food that you would pair with this that then can become part of the, I guess, for lack of a better term, I don't like to use the word terroir, but the terroir of the whole thing of...
Good fish and chips with an English sparkling wine is bloody good.
Perfect.
It is. You don't get it in the local chippy.
Yeah.
No, they're not
Yes.
selling it.
Well, that's what you need to do. You need to get all of...
Yeah, we should go and,
That's actually a perfect answer because, look, French fries with champagne is one of the great, put it in my casket. It's one of the greatest things that you can have. So, yeah, fish and chips, great call. Great call.
Good fish and chips, of course.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't think fish and chips is that's the perfect answer for this.
No, but we're an island, we do fish. We need to get better at it, but, we eat fish. We make white wine, sparkling white
A
wine.
lot of the Bordeaux oysters are actually, they grow up here, don't they?
Yeah, they spend
They seed them in Bordeaux. They
their adolescence is up here in the
up
cold
here,
waters.
In the cold waters.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And then they send them back to finish. So,
This is a great transition to how I kind of wanted to end this podcast is the relationship between France and England. And I think this is where...
it's like siblings, love,
Yeah.
hate.
Yeah.
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 Very much so.
There's nothing else like it, the two of you guys. I don't really get it.
It's amazing. I've always thought how lucky we are. It's just 20 miles of water and you're in a completely different world. And that's why we're here. This is why this whole thing started. It was my obsession. I just think France is wonderful.
And they do
I
think
love it.
differently.
I know a lot of people don't. The French are arrogant.
No.
And the French say we're arrogant. They're not.
They're not. That is a complete fallacy.
I've met, in my whole time over there, I must have met 3 or 4 people who were clearly didn't like me because I was British. Everybody else couldn't have been nicer. And
And they were probably British.
They could have been, yeah.
I don't know. They were politicians. And
Okay,
politicians is another breed.
Yeah.
I just think it's great. And, I just wanted to, once I discovered France, I just wanted to keep going back. And I still do. Well, as you know, we go there all the time. And aren't we lucky? You're in America, well, you've got Canada. It's not that different.
Well,
You might have to cut this.
no. You're right, though. Canada, look, the Canadians...
I've got family in Canada.
Listen, no. But you are right in the realm of Canada and America are not that different. They really are not. It's not like you... I mean, unless you're in Quebec or they speak French. But there's not a language barrier for the most part. The food is pretty similar for the most part. We can argue about who makes better beer, and maybe better whiskey or something like that. Both make pretty good wine. And the Canadians, we may have different sport, but you're right. You go to France, it is a very different place.
It's completely different.
The lifestyle is different. The way you wake up, the way you approach the day.
They think differently.
They think completely differently.
Yeah.
And by the way, some of the most kind, generous, welcoming people I have ever met. The thing that I find incredibly interesting and is so needed is when you went to Bordeaux, you did not try to become a negociant or something that was bringing in... There's nothing wrong with Cheval Blanc or, the great Sauternes or anything like that. You went and you tried to find accessible wine that was as good as the other things, but kind of a little bit off or a little bit just turn this direction. And I have to say, being with you in Bordeaux really reopened my eyes to how many great wines there are that are just right there. I mean, Bordeaux is a region everybody thinks they know. You think you understand Bordeaux, and then you get there, and there are hundreds of doors to walk through that you didn't realize there were. And I think that's another thing you won't maybe not give yourself enough credit for, but that's something, the wine club you put together, your company you put together is built on a foundation of finding these things
Right.
right in your own backyard here.
Yeah, but I didn't go and say, I'm not going to deal with those big people. I'm just going to deal with the small guys. I landed in a small guy area,
Sure.
right? So it was the people that gave me jobs and the people I got to meet and worked. I wanted to sell their wine. I didn't think the big people would let me sell their wine, and I'm probably quite right. I was not an established merchant at that time. But that sort of set the way of working for going around the world. Everywhere I go, I try, okay, so there's these people and they're worth a lot of, their wines are very expensive and they're very good, yeah. I'm not saying they're not very good, but I'm saying you'd be surprised if you look around, just around the corner, and you don't get overwhelmed by reputations. If you just actually shut your eyes and taste, that's a better deal.
Yeah.
The little unknown ones are a better deal because they're very close. They're much closer than people think. You see a wine, these wines sell for £600 a bottle. These wines sell for £15 a bottle. You think, well, that can't be anywhere near as good as that. You're wrong. They are.
Yeah.
May not be totally as good, but they're very close.
Yeah, it's something that every single time I forget what you've said, I'm reminded on this trip. We filmed with your winemaker, Jean-Marc, and he walked 52 feet maybe.
Yeah.
And right there are your vineyards next to, I won't name the wine, I won't name the domain, but right next to a domain that people would go, how is it possible that this costs this and this costs this? And that's France. And that is the loveliness of France of having that. And that's, again, to wrap this up, why I think what you've done with your curation is so important. And I want to end this for both of you guys to say, look, there are very few people doing what you do at the level you do. I mean, there's always a reason when somebody is the best goalie in football, there's a reason they're good. They just do it well. And to watch them do it is pretty impressive. And why should people, I'm going to say something I don't think I've ever said on this podcast, but why should people join your wine club? Like, what is your pitch to people?
My pitch is people know Bordeaux through about 5% of the production of Bordeaux, less than 5%. There's all the others, but nobody knows about them. You have to communicate. I think communicating is our skill, is what we do, and that's our job. We just communicate wine better, and like somebody said recently, the news out there is pretty grim. There are good stories out there. Mostly they're about wine.
Well put. Well put. I have never seen a portfolio in all of my travels that has the breadth and the quality. And frankly, for me, as a person with 2 young children and minding my, wallet, the affordability. And that is kind of, I hate to be your pitch man, but honestly, kind of why I am probably going to let you curate for me. I think, and
it's really important.
It's very important. Yeah.
Price is very important.
For me, it certainly is,
Yeah.
and for a lot of people right now. So.
Well, it's easier to get good quality at a higher price. You just have to work harder at a lower price, but it's there. It's definitely there, and we just help customers find it.
Sure.
Don't we?
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see that the two of you have no exit plan for yourselves. You keep working.
No, we're here, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere,
and,
hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. And Barbara, I got to say, this wine is tremendous. Thank you for sharing it with us. I appreciate it. Cheers to you, too. I'm glad that you two will get a break after we finally leave you, because it's been a long week.
It's been a fascinating week. Fascinating.
Yeah, good.
And you've drawn stuff out that I didn't know was there.
It's really good to be reminded.
You have pulled stuff out of me nobody's ever pulled before, I think.
Well, I think you and I should go on vacation together. Let's get out of here. All right. Cheers, you two. Thank you. All right. To Peter Rabbit.